All right. Well, welcome to the Beer League podcast, the May, what is it, 13th? Monday the 13th edition.
Yeah.
And we've got the newest member of the league, Mike Lansu, and I think he's up to eighth place now, which is right. I think you're in eighth, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So I mean, I have 12 teams, so you've got a third of the league behind you, so it's not too shabby. Especially when you started. What you started like
0-9.
Yeah. So since then, especially, we've been doing well. So we'll look at your team in depth, a little later on.
Wow, it was a rough start, and I think I'm cheating fate by going way over the pitcher innings early here. So,
well, you were way under in games played, and I think that you've kind of made up that ground too. So that sort of plays off each other, right? You'll pare down your innings, but you'll be getting more games played in. So,
well, hopefully,
we'll see. A lot of us are over. I might be getting. Was that
over in pitching or over in
the innings pitched? Yeah. I'm not over in games played.
No, that's a new rule this year, right? I mean, as new to the league, you raised the pitcher innings.
Yeah, we added a starting pitcher slot.
Okay.
So yeah, we have more innings. So yeah, that used to be by the third week or so of the year, I would be switching my starting pitchers over to any sort of starting pitcher that qualified at reliever. The highest leverage guy I could find that qualified at starting pitcher. But this year I haven't switched over yet, but I think it's going to be pretty soon for me. But it won't be like last year. I think by the end of the year I might have had 5 starting pitchers in, and then all the rest of my slots were starting pitchers that were really relief pitchers, and so.
Well, I had AJ Puck, and I thought he was going to be a sneaky starting pitcher, and he was absolutely terrible. And there's a reason he was in the bullpen all along, most times. Turns out
AJ Puck sounds like a restaurant.
I'd get a steak there.
Was that?
I'd get a steak
Get
there.
a steak at AJ Puck's.
At AJ Puck's, yeah.
Sure. So what's new, Jeff?
I'm just doing a little bit of calculations here, and just seeing if what I have is correct. Yeah, you had 486 this week.
So Dave Steiger pointed out. Well, I don't have to use his last name anymore, right? Because we don't have 2 Daves in the league anymore. But Dave pointed out to me that the Friday ticker was off, or well, actually his stats didn't agree with what I put out today. But what I put out today was correct. But he was basing his stats today based on what I had put out on Friday, and then he added in the stuff over the weekend. So then I looked into it, and it was when I copied.
Because I had paging Dr. Satchel with 507 points.
Yeah, I'm still looking into it, but what happened on Friday was there's no way that today's stats are wrong, because all it is the total points that Yahoo has in there today minus what it was at the beginning of the week. That's
exactly.
But the Friday ticker was off because I think it was because I copy and pasted the stuff from the standings page and then didn't sort it. Usually I have to sort both sets of numbers alphabetically, so I'm making sure that the numbers line up with the right team, the corresponding team. But it looks like some teams were right, like Platinum Sombreros was right, Bizzotti was right. But I think if you changed place in the standings, then you were getting somebody else's numbers on Friday.
So what I ended up doing was getting I got an extra 17 points. Because it says 427 on what you sent out, and I had myself at 410.
Yeah, so it must have been that the ticker was off by 17. But I'm still looking into it. I think I've gotten 9 of the 12 teams, and I was trying to get it done before before this because I wanted to do, have a new Weekend Warrior and stuff. But all the Weekend Warrior, it only affects the Weekend Warrior and the straw spinners. It just, that was just, not right. So
Yeah. You know what though? You're so right on the money all the time. It's just like, I mean, the blurb gives a
it's
shit. No
it's
big
good.
deal.
It's good somebody looks into it. But the way stats are done without considering that stat correction crap. By the way, when I went back to try to piece it all together again, there were so many stat corrections this week. I couldn't effing believe it. I was so annoyed. Like some weeks it wouldn't. There were so many. It was like you had to like toggle down like half a dozen times just to get them. It was ridiculous. There were so many.
Oh, I know.
So anyway, so
I
that
saw them all. I had like 3 of them myself. It's like,
yeah.
dude, hire better people. What are your data entry people that are doing at the game?
Oh, I don't know if it's because of data entry. I think it's because of the rule, the official score, right? They'll change an earned run to to a non-earned run, that kind of thing.
Oh, it is because I've watched the game online and actually on TV at the same time, and sometimes the person online doesn't know what the fuck is going on,
Yeah,
but
well,
it's
I guess
pretty
it could be a
obvious.
combination of the two. It could be transcription error or something, or
Yeah.
but it is I know that there's some official score changes, and that's what goes into it too. When you see earned runs and unearned runs, you know that's probably from the official score.
Yeah. Hey, we got a common theme going today.
What is it?
So Mike has a Mets hat on. You're a Mets fan, and I went and saw Mets over the weekend. And they were fucking great.
I mean, I can change the hat out real quick if you want. I could go Cubs hat.
Well, you
Hey,
don't have to do anything you don't want to do. He's just sucking up to you. I never saw him with a Mets hat on until he knew you're a fan of the Mets.
Yeah,
That's
that's. I became a Mets fan just when I joined this league, trying
like
to
up
get
to
a
the
few extra
commish.
points on those stat corrections.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll see what we can do.
You can just ignore that one real quick.
So what's been new with you, Mike, since the beginning of March, since I saw you?
Oh, not much, not much. I mean, it's nice to be to go from 0-9. I got to say, I was pretty worried about how terrible my team was at 0-9, and I knew I had a lot of
I
rainouts.
wasn't worried. I mean, I guess because I've seen it for so many years, like I mean, it's definitely not good to start 0-9, but I mean, it doesn't mean everything, It's there's very little correlation, especially after a week and a half.
Well, it's definitely not
Are you starting
pleasant.
to feel the hang of it though?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm starting to get it. Pitchers getting blown up just kills you in this
Yeah.
Oh
league.
fuck yeah, yeah, dude.
I've had a couple, well, more than a couple of negative 15s come in, and wow, is that unpleasant.
Oh, how about having 2 starting pitchers going in one day, and one gets you -11, the other one gets you -13.
Yeah, that's not
That happened to me, and
that's
I
not
said,
fun how that works out.
"Goodbye." Yeah, I had to drop a couple dudes after that. I don't take too kindly to getting -20 from a
Yeah,
pitcher,
that's
even though I held on to Bailey over just because it was the first game of the year for him, and he's been pretty solid since. So,
I've gotten a bunch of trade offers in that AL Roto League for Bailey Ober, like 3 different trade offers, and I can't trade
really,
it because they're not offering me a pitcher, and there's no starting pitchers available. If I traded him, I'd have like a long reliever in there or something, so I can't do it. But
yeah, yeah, he'd be a
Vinny,
weaker pick.
somebody offered me Vinny Pasquantino, and I love Vinny, and I know he's not off to a hot start, so it'd be nice to trade for him, but I can't trade, even if it was for Ross Stripling or something. He's like my last starting pitcher. I don't think I could even do that because I can't replace him. Like it's like the beer league is a little bit better because like yeah, you'd be free to make a trade like that, and then you could pick up some starting pitcher that you've been kind of liking anyway. But this league, I don't know what to do. I can't trade him.
I mean, Bailey Ober is also such a weird pitcher for a guy his height. He doesn't throw hard. The stuff's not really there. Like
Oh
it's
yeah,
hard. it's hard to trust in a guy like Bailey Ober
It's
that
not like you.
He must know how to pitch because he's putting up quality starts for me.
He's like my
I get it, but
fifth or sixth starting pitcher. So usually, yeah, that would be a commodity that I could trade if somebody wanted to offer me something. But like, I can't do it because I can't replace him. I will have one less starting pitcher basically for the rest of the year. So
right.
I said no. I'm actually in third place in that league out of 12, and I was talking about this before that I look at my roster and I'm so used to beer league rosters that I think my team is horrible. The caliber of players I have in my team, I just can't believe it. And like I picked up Nico Goodrum today, this week for LA, because Rendon's out and he's been playing third. I mean, you're not going to pick up Nico Goodrum in the beer league. Maybe you will, but not really. Not like you make it like your waiver priority to get him or something.
That is such a Caribbean name, Nico Goodrum.
I tried to look him up in Baseball Prospectus. And I don't know where he was. I looked Detroit, Tampa. He's not even in the alphabetical list of players. Like he might be in that little hitters and pitchers blurb they have at the end of the team, like for guys that don't have their own write up and they just do like a sentence about them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know if you get Prospectus.
Well, I know he'd been on Detroit for years as a utility guy.
I couldn't even I couldn't even read about him. I wanted to feel good about him. Something.
You want to feel good rum about him, but
Yeah.
What can you equate him to? As far as like the type of player he is and stuff like that, who would be a good comparison to Nico Goodrum from the past?
I mean, he does play a bunch of positions.
Yeah,
he
qualified.
plays first, second, maybe fourth, third, and both corner outfields.
He reminds me of that other guy that Detroit had like a year or two ago. Guy that qualified like 7 different positions or something. Do you remember who I'm talking about? It wasn't Nico, I don't think.
Zach McKinstry? McKinstry's been for him lately. Ex-Cub.
I can't think of his name, but he qualified everywhere but like catcher, basically. I think he did qualify at 7 positions, but it might have just been 6. I don't know, but anyways, yeah, that's what I guess I kind of
like a super utility. Utility is like 4 positions, but super utility, you're like playing everything but catcher and pitcher.
Yeah.
You could take that 0 in any spot you want now. Isn't that great?
Is what?
You could take a 0 in any spot you want now. It's fucking fantastic.
So that league, it's all about getting plate appearances and innings pitch. It's not. I'm not making any. Like we do. Like you'll decide between 2 guys that are getting full time at bats, and you think that this guy is better. You get to make decisions like that. In this league, you're not even making those. You're just hoping to get that he's going to have like 10 at bats this week. It's like it sucks. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. And it's so strict. I tried to pick up Guillorme and Garrett Cooper, but they got traded from the National League, and so they weren't available. So I had to immediately drop them, and because they do a draft in August, I guess, for players that came over from the NL. Like there's so many, like how the beer league is much more free, right? You can pretty much do what you want. You got to wait 3 days for the waiver period to end, but that's about it, right? There's nothing you can't. There's nothing that'll Yahoo allows you to do that you're not allowed to do, really, right? I mean, I can't think of anything. Yeah.
No, me either.
Well, I'm going to share the standings. We'll get that part out of the way, okay? So, and then I already X'd out the weekend.
Your Mets, by the way, I was just checking scores here just a second ago, and the Mets are up 3-1.
Yeah, I saw that. That much I got. Make sure I'm in the right.
And then Imanaga hasn't given up a run against the Braves. And they're in the 5th inning.
I still worry. He gives up a lot of fly balls, and it's early in the year. It's early in Wrigley, but you know what? You're down in Atlanta. You're down in Atlanta today facing the Braves.
He's got a lot of swing and miss shit.
Yeah.
He knows how to mix his pitches up. He throws people off.
Well, that's his thing. He's supposed to allow homers, right? I mean, like that was kind of expected. But
yeah, but he hasn't given up that many of them.
If there's nobody on base, it's hard to do much damage, right?
The dude's got a like a 1 ERA across since the beginning of the season. 1.
Yeah, and his
That's
whip
it.
is
Well,
like,
so does Assad, but I'm not buying that either.
what's his whip now? Is it above 0.8 even?
Good question. Let me
It's got to be close to 0.8 or 0.85. Yeah.
let me see here.
I think the ATC projections still have him at like 1.2 for remainder of the season whip.
His whip is 0.816.
All right, so it came up a little bit,
He's
but
got he's got 43 strikeouts in 41 and 2/3 innings.
yeah.
More strikeouts than innings pitched. Barely.
I bid on Imanaga during the auction. I mean, I don't
Oh,
think
me
I came
too.
close to getting
Me
him.
too. And I think Doug got him for like 20 something.
Yeah, it must have. I don't know what I had him at. I know I had, Yamamoto, right? That's the guy's name, Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yamamoto.
I was bidding for him, and I think you were bidding big on him too, right? Weren't you, Mike?
I think we all were.
Yeah, a little, but then I backed off. And boy, I was so glad eat my hat right now, eat my Mets hat. I got up really early and watched that game in Korea where he got blown up
Yeah.
against the Padres, and I was so unimpressed. And I thought he was going to be a bust, but he's clearly figured something out.
Because I think what he went over for over 50, maybe, right? Is that right?
He went for a lot.
And
Which
Doug is the
guy?
one who got him?
You talking about Yamamoto?
Yeah, did Doug get him?
Hold on 1 second. I
I thought you
will.
got him, Mike, but I guess
No. I took so many pitchers in the expansion draft that I focused on hitters all the way through.
so. It was me and Doug that were bidding on Yoshino, or were you in that pretty high too?
I wasn't
Okay.
I wasn't in there long.
Doug paid 54 for Yamamoto.
Okay, yeah, I bet you I was up there to like 50 or so. Well, I guess if it was just me and him, I might have gone to 53, and he went to 54, and I got
And
out.
he got Imanaga for 25.
Yeah, and I probably had Imanaga for like 20, so he was just higher on both those guys.
Yeah.
Well,
This team's
anyways,
singing along just fine.
getting to the glance portion. So Mike, you're able to open this file and see all these tabs now with using that open document.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep, and I've also got it on the screen, so I'm following along.
Yeah. Well, we have a new Buddha
Way
King.
easier than navigating multiple tabs.
You are the new Buddha King.
Yeah.
What is I don't fully know what that means.
Oh, it's this portion. It's just it's saying what your win
Maybe
loss
he phoned
record.
up the ass.
Yo, all right.
It's saying what your win loss record should be just based on your points.
Okay.
So the average amount of points above or below average that gets you an extra win is 31. So you see that you are 92 points below average. So that's about 3 wins below average. So what do we have? 18. So you should have what does this say?
3 more wins than you do now.
I should be 18 and 21. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
No, what is this? Wins. Oh, is that what it's saying? No,
that's good to know.
God, I'm so frazzled. All right, it says you should be 16 and 23 and 15 and 20. This doesn't make any sense. Right? Is that your record? Are you 15 and 24?
This is Buddha.
Yeah, I've had a tough time here. So like this doesn't make any sense. 16 would be like you should have one more. Oh, I guess it was only 1.5. All right, these aren't rounded. Yeah, so you should be I'm sorry, my brain is frazzled because of that stupid mistake I've been working on for a couple hours. But yeah, you should be 16 23 and you're 15 and 24. But that's all it is. It's just based on your points. So that's what the Buddha is. And Lucky Laggard is Sombrero. So even though they're not doing well, it could actually be a little bit worse, right? A couple of wins worse. And here's the games played over. Just Spear and Sombreros are under, and Cal's right in the middle, just like last week. And the IP stuff is the same. You have the biggest overage. Let's plays the most under, and Hacks right in the middle. And,
Yeah, you know,
we,
I was interestingly, Jeff, maybe you were talking a little bit about the pitching and starting pitchers and when to use them, and I thought that was really interesting because my philosophy was use them early, use them late, and you know, trying to avoid those dog days of summer, the hot days in Cincinnati, the hot days in Colorado and Washington. But I hadn't really thought that much. You brought up a good point that you're more likely to get a quality start during the year as the pitchers are more stretched out. You know, I wonder, you know, Lou,
Well,
Jeff,
yeah, in the beginning of
are
the
you more
season.
likely to get blown up too?
Oh yeah. I mean, think about it, like for the first month, there wasn't many quality starts. Everybody was getting yanked in the fifth inning. There was a few out there,
you know,
you know.
you
I mean, it's just gonna build as the year goes on quality start points.
I brought this up last week that the quality start percentage through whenever it was last week was actually a little bit higher than it was for the year last year. Not, I mean, not appreciably, but it was higher. So it's not. We haven't had fewer, lower percentage of quality starts so far this year than the
Well, I'm thinking
entire
though
year
that
of
like
last
from
year. I mean,
from
it's a
April.
good theory, but we're not seeing the numbers backing that up.
Well, what I'm saying is from April to May, you're not going to have as many quality starts in April because the managers aren't letting their pitchers go that long in
But I'm
games.
saying that we've already seen that the numbers don't back that up. That the
Really?
quality start percentage of games started is the same or slightly higher than it was all of last year. So we're not seeing what you're saying. I understand what you're saying because it makes sense, but we're not seeing that.
I think what we'd have to see is that May is finished up to see how May ends up as opposed to what April was to see if there's a jump there between the 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I'm
what.
not talking about like going back to last year, but just like from an April standpoint to a May standpoint, the whole graph, and
Well,
see how many
to
quality
compare
starts go
April
along the
to the
line.
entire year, but we don't have this entire year to compare it to. So I'm comparing it to the entire year of last year.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, you're right. If
It's all new,
maybe this year's quality start percentage will be higher than last year's, and we'll and then it could be borne out that the rest of the year was a higher percentage than April was. But I'm just comparing this April to the nearest year that we have, the full year that we have, which was last year, and we haven't seen that it's a lower percentage. So
I guess what I'm looking at is the number of blowups, though, those negative points, because those are so killer right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
The number of blowups in April and May versus June, July, August, as we get into guaranteed rate field, the Great American Small Park, right? Like all these pitchers who you're not sure if you want to throw them as good pitchers in these parks. If they get blown up or you got to sit them, that's even if you sit them, it hurts you. Like run your innings early in Pittsburgh versus having to throw Wheeler in Cincinnati in the summer.
yeah, we could look at that easily, with Baseball Reference or Fangraphs. Just look at the month by month ERAs, right? And, I mean, I guess it wouldn't necessarily tell you how many blowouts there were, but it would just tell you the general, run level. But yeah, I mean, that's what you think anyway. I mean, like you think July
Right.
is when you're gonna have a 25 run game, and April is when there's gonna be 2-1. Everybody's
Well,
cold.
when you get there, high humidity, air density, weather, right? I mean, the ball's going to carry, but that doesn't work the same way every park. I mean,
yeah, it's important to look at the numbers too, because things that make sense sometimes you got to rethink them because they're not, the numbers don't bear it out.
It'd be interesting to go down that rabbit hole and I hope I just didn't lose my thought. Just that rabbit hole of fuck, I forgot. God damn it.
You
I gotta
started to
turn the
think about
TV off
Alice in
here.
Wonderland.
Give me 1 second. Maybe I'll remember
That's
I saw Jeff hit a ball,
Hey, you're walking.
I am.
Christopher Walken.
I'm walking to grab another beer.
Do you do a Christopher Walken impersonation?
Oh, God, I wish.
All right, continuing on.
Yeah, just go ahead, man. I lost my train of thought. I had a point to make, and then it's like there was a loud. I mean, the TV was on not too loud in the other room, and then all of a sudden there was a really loud like commercial, and it just fucked me up. Anyway, go ahead.
What's Frankie watching?
I don't know what it was, man, but it's like I hadn't been hearing the TV, and all of a sudden it sounded like the TV went up like 10 decibels.
Whopper, 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 single
It wasn't
double.
that bad. It sounded like some action movie thing.
My wife can't stand when that song comes on the commercial. I don't mind it, so it doesn't bother me, but it's hilarious to me how much she hates it. So, all right,
It's the Taylor Swift of jingles.
so Lucky Babbitt, the Lucky Babbitt guy is a spear. It's estimated 45 points of Babbitt luck that they've gotten, and Bizzotti's an estimated 54 points of Babbitt bad luck. And I don't know if you watched it when we had like Phil on, but this is not his favorite stat. He thinks that Babbitt is an innate ability, and of course that's correct. But I do think a lot of it is random too.
I remember what I was talking about.
Go ahead.
So basically, what kind of a fun study is to go and look at all those games that get blown out and kind of see what happened the game before, and if they maybe use like most of their bullpen in the game before. I mean, how many of those blowouts are because the manager just has to leave the pitcher in too long?
Right. No, that's a good point. I mean, yeah. I mean, I do have the 4,860 games started last year. I could sort them by date and then do some sort of a, if I wanted to, because it's not my.
I mean, I do think Babbitt's more reliable as a hitter, just in general, over 162, compared to a pitcher who's in different situations, might be trying to roll that grounder that goes through, trying to pitch a little different. That Babbitt against as a pitcher, I think there's more variable than as a hitter where
Well, I mean,
at least in the current game, there's not a whole lot of guys who are trying to hit the ball to the right side to move around.
I mean, you can't just have straight BABIP and draw too many conclusions from it. Except maybe if you're comparing a guy to himself, like he's at this level of BABIP, and now last year was obviously unlucky, that kind of thing. Unless he's just gotten really slow, he's old, and that's going to be his new BABIP level. But if you take BABIP and adjust for the hard contact, quality contact, hitting the opposite field, guys that hit the opposite field that keep the ball in the park have a higher batting average than guys that pull it. So if you pull the ball, you need to homer basically.
No, wait, where are you guys at on exit velo as a stat?
I don't look at it, but I believe I think it. Yeah, I think
Velocity.
But I don't look at that. That's like one level above where I am, like looking at stuff.
I tell you what, exit velocity from a player's perspective, the harder it's coming off that bat, the more hits you're going to get.
Right.
Simple as that. If you're hitting it down in a line drive, that ball goes by somebody so fast they can't make the play on it. Okay. You get lift on it, you knock it out of the park. You hit it on the ground, exit velocity, even hitting it on the ground, it's going to be tough to handle.
Yeah.
Hitting the gaps, hitting down the line, stuff like that. It doesn't give exit velocity does not give a player time to react to make the play. And exit velocity is huge if you're a hitter.
Yeah, I generally agree. I like exit velo more than BABIP.
Yeah, well, I mean, BABIP, the way I use it, it's adjusted for the hardness of the contact and which field, and then I'm trying to incorporate based on what Phil's suggestion. I'm trying to incorporate a little speed into it, but I didn't notice much difference with it because I think I was already separating out bunt hits and infield hits from the rest of the contact. So I think that might have most of that speed component might have been in there. But anyways, yeah, all that stuff. So I think if you look at all that stuff, it's got to be pretty decent. And still, I'm sure it will vary from year to year, just on random variance. like Pham was a guy that last year had, at least in the beginning of the year, didn't have a good year, and they were talking about him that that his contact was still good. So it just seemed like he was unlucky. When you get to Pham's age, maybe you're thinking like, oh, maybe he's lost his step and he's not beating things out, whatever. But Pham, had a good year when he got moved last year. So
He's so hard to evaluate though because of the eye problem. He notoriously has the
oh
the
yeah, that's
dry
right. I forgot
eyes or
about
the
that.
something
Yeah,
eye thing. Yeah. And I mean, he turned his career around when he was able to figure the eyes out.
yeah. So he'll probably.
They should have a little earpiece in his ear when he goes up to bat, and just play that Sarah McLaughlin one from all the puppy videos and stuff, and just kind of get him a little that tear in his eye when he's up there hitting. Maybe that'll help him.
Oh, because he has the
He's
dry
got
eye problem.
dry
Is that
eyes.
what it is? Is that what his problem is?
Yeah. He says he's got a
Yeah,
dry eye condition.
I worked with a guy that
I
had that.
never heard that. I knew it was a visual condition, but I didn't know it was like dry eyes.
I could be wrong. I mean, I thought it was some sort of dry eye or I mean, it was something fixable.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I'm poor.
Wow.
Well, let's go on to. Oh, I forgot about this. So predicted top four hasn't changed except that Spear supplanted Capital Knockers for fourth. Capital Knockers went 1-5, so that didn't help their cause any.
So Capital Knockers got knocked out of the fourth, predicted
Yeah,
top
they
four.
knocked out. They knocked Spear out the previous week, and now they got it. So William Contreras is back as a cow for McBride's. And Knockers had Harper, even though they went 1-5 for the week. Sombreros got back in the win column, and Semyon helped them as a player of the week. Gags had Rooker and Darvish, even though I didn't have Rooker. What was that, 23 points?
Yeah, I dropped him. God damn it. Fuck. He wasn't doing shit. And
You saw me whining on the text. I think it was Wednesday. There was a doubleheader that I swear to God was not in Yahoo at like let's say 8 a.m. when I woke up and I put my guys in tentatively in the starting lineup. And then when I looked again, it was after the Oakland they had a doubleheader, split like maybe a 1 o'clock and a 7 o'clock game, something like that. And the 1 o'clock game happened before I had a chance to put these guys in, and I would have put Rooker and Langliers in because they had two games. They had two games played that day, and now
it's like
I'm
30-something points between the two of them or something.
yeah.
Right?
So I'm already pissed off that I missed it, but like, okay, sometimes I've done that, and like the guy gets no points. Well, this time it was like my worst nightmare. I missed the biggest game both those guys are going to have probably the entire year, both of them together. 23 points and 17 points. Missed 40 points from those two guys. It was unbelievable.
That
But anyways,
stings, man.
somehow it still all worked out. So I'm so happy that it's actually I didn't even lose a win because of it, because I certainly deserved it, right? Usually you would lose one or two wins from that kind of a fuck up, that level, All right, Luis Heel, is that how you say his name? Heel for the Cows. And then Robert Suarez, he's a repeat, not two in a row, but he's been on here before for Satch. Satch is amazing. They've got the most starting pitching points per inning, and then they've got the most, well, I shouldn't say starting pitching points, but non-save hold points per inning pitched, and they've got the most save hold points too. So their pitching is just phenomenal. Luckily, their hitting's only been like in the middle of the pack. So, but here's the standings now. Satch got a 5-game lead on McBride, hanging tough with them. We documented how many injuries that McBrides have had to start the year, and it didn't matter. So that's.
I'll tell you what, that team was set up pretty good with that was it Kyle Tucker trade last year to Capital Knockers. That got him Gunnar Henderson, Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah, well, that's been huge. Yeah, both those guys have been, top producers. So Spear is 6 out along with the Gags, and then here we have. Wait till next year. See, climbing up here. Now he's like in the middle tier.
Slow and steady. I'm figuring it out.
And the daddies are, well, you did go 4-2, huh? So that was
It's the first time I got a winning record this year, I think.
Oh yeah, you said that a couple weeks ago. I think you're right? Because the 3 wins
Yeah,
was the best you'd done.
I got more than
Yeah, this one was
mediocre.
3. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, you were talking about moving the needle. Yeah, you can't move it at 3-3.
Uh-uh.
Well, I guess if you're in last, you can move it at 3-3, but in general, no. And Sombreros having a tough year, and surprising because they had a terrible year 2 years ago, and then they had a really good year last year. So
Who are
we'll
the
see.
Sombreros?
Yeah, Sombreros. What? Yeah,
I
Sombreros.
whose team is that?
That's Sean.
Okay.
Yeah, he finished in the money last year, and then the year before he had a terrible year. So you think when you go from that, then all right, now he's gonna finish up in the top now. But so far, that hasn't looked good.
I have a
Hack,
couple of sophomore jinx guys.
Hack took the collar. I'm sure he's not happy about that. Knockers and Bizzatti went 1-5. And the Buddha we already looked at. And I already talked about the games played, overage and the innings pitched overage. So you can see top hitting team in the league on a games played basis is McBride's 3.1 points per game, hitting points per game played. Spear actually has more points than him, but they've done it in 40 more games than McBride's have. So they've got 40 more points in 40 more games. So obviously it's a big advantage for McBride's with as far as per games played. Naka's right up there. Looks like they're
Here's
second.
the thing, though. Most of those the player positions, most of those games that if they're under on games played, that's usually because of the catching position.
Yeah, catching. Yeah,
I mean, because I think I'm like -12 on catching or I might be even -14 on catching alone, but I'm plus in some other areas.
right. Well, that's a real limit for what the
Yeah.
prediction model does, because in the prediction model, if you're 20 games under at catcher and you're 20 games over your position players, according to the prediction model, they're going to be like, all right, you're right on target. But really, realistically, you know that you're going to have to bring the hitting games on back down because they won't let you go over, and you might not catch up on the catching game. So that's a limitation of the model. So
Well, as a newbie, Lou, and I met you, you said catching was valuable, and I didn't quite realize just how valuable this was. Having catchers who can DH like Realmuto and just not take those zeros or have to run out, you know, Rotvart
Dream
or
one.
Betancourt or Lee or all these other backup catchers. I mean, at least Lee plays every other day, but it doesn't help when he's playing on a day where he's got an off day on the same day.
right. Yeah, I have 3 catchers, and it probably is smarter to do what some of the teams do in the league, like Phil and I know Paul Trubizzotti does that. They stream the catchers instead of holding that third catcher. I always like to hold the third catcher because I'm thinking about next year too.
Right.
So Langoliers, I could, well, yeah, I took him in the auction, I think, right? So I could hold them next year. I don't know, but yeah,
I keep scooping up Corey Lee, thinking, how much longer can you play Martin Maldonado? I mean, seriously.
Right. I have Corey Lee in that AL Roto league.
He's absolutely Maldonado's absolutely terrible at the plate. Yeah. And they're going to continue to run him out there, and I think they're going to continue to run him out there all year.
I don't know. I hope. Well, at least it looks like a timeshare now. Like it looks
right.
like.
Well, to start the year,
50/50.
yeah, it was Maldonado, but
yeah.
But,
well,
that man's not even close to sniffing the Mendoza line.
Not everybody in the league agrees on spending money on catcher. You could say waste. Well, if you want to be negative, you could say I waste a lot of money on catching. Because I spent so much on it, and some guys have a different philosophy. They're like, I'm going to, spend a couple of bucks on catchers, and it has worked, to do that. I know last year, Kimbler had maybe Cal Raleigh and somebody else, and he only spent a few dollars on his catching, and it was pretty good, like compared to like spending 80 or whatever I spent.
Well, I mean, the value in a guy like Adley Rutschman, who's going to play every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to eat those. You don't have to eat those innings.
But there are different philosophies. Obviously, I'm the big catching guy, but I guess it's kind of like having, I think I used this one before, but it's kind of like having Australia and risk, So, but because I guess it's everybody has to find something they're willing to spend the money on. 'Cause you got to spend your money, right? So
Right.
I don't spend $110 on a hitter, Although maybe with Acuna this year, and of course he's not doing as great, but maybe with Acuna I would have gone up. I would have probably surprised everybody how high I would have gone for him,
How,
But he was
how high did Acuna go for?
well,
Can't
he got
remember.
kept. He was franchised.
Oh, that's right.
That's how I got Rushman because he couldn't franchise both those guys. So I traded for Rushman.
Yeah, he's got him at 82.
Yeah. That was a good franchise because even somebody like me, I don't know if I've gone above 90 on a player before. And I think I would have gone over 100 on a year. I mean, I would have been nuts. His year was so good last year, and we're not even a roto league. Imagine if we had a stolen base category. I don't know what he was worth last year in rotisserie, but it had to be like $150 or something. It was crazy.
Well, while we're talking about the young players, I mean, Satch has been sending me offers for DeGrom. If everyone watches this podcast, send me the DeGrom offers if you're interested.
Yeah, it's
We're gonna shameless
I can't
fucking
value
plug.
him now.
I'm shamelessly promoting my trade market on
No,
the
I mean
podcast
I
right
mean
now.
obviously there's a chance that he's going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball when he finally is in there. But
He's gonna be one of the best pitchers in baseball and give me some of the value. Right. And that's what I'm using the podcast to hype this up, right?
but he's the kind of guy like if we had our auction tomorrow, and he's the kind of guy that I wouldn't be in the bidding, and I wouldn't like say that everybody that's bidding on him is making a mistake. I'm just like I can't put a value on him. It's too fucked up, it's just
Don't question Dr. Satch's interest in
no,
DeGrom.
I wouldn't.
Everyone
I
else
wouldn't.
needs to look at the champ and start sending me their offer.
No, yeah, no, I wouldn't.
I paid
Well,
up for him for a reason as a trade chip.
yeah, when Phil's interested
Yeah.
in something, then you take an extra second to think about it. It's kind of like when the Rays are calling you up to trade for one of your minor league pitchers or something like that. You're like, it's got to give you pause, right? I bet you that's hurting them now because like the Rays like this guy.
I just don't want to be the Marlins and trade Luis Ariz or trade Pablo Lopez for Ariz, then trade Ariz for.
Yeah, their problem is that they've had too
See
many.
what they get back in return on that one. I mean, it's they're just here's the thing. He was gonna be like an unrestricted free agent next year or some shit. So get something for him now because this team's not gonna compete. He's the most valuable person you have. I think they should have waited a little bit longer so there was people fighting over him.
I agree.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I can see wrong about what they did, like pulling the trigger too fast on that. But San Diego needs something now. Miami
Well, I
should
mean,
have held back a little
they've
bit
had
for
too
maybe a
many.
little more, but
They've had too many people in charge. Though 2 years ago, they had a different person in charge. Then they had Kim Ang in charge last year. Now they have new. It's like inheriting a team, and then you're like, well, I don't like this. Let's face it, Arise is probably not as valuable as his reputation, right? If you look at it, mathematically or whatever, it doesn't add up to him being that valuable a player.
thing is, he's got the slowest bat speed of any Major League Baseball player. They have like all the statistics and everything like that. He has the slowest,
Yeah.
but yet one of the great fucking average.
Right.
And it's not. It's probably mostly because he's just controlling the bat and getting it through the.
A little dunk in left field. It's not like
Yeah.
he's a bad player, but for his reputation, the guy that flirted with 400, you're not getting, if you want to look at WAR or any of these other kind of measures. I mean, he's definitely not as valuable in real life as his reputation. I think
Well, you gotta look at how many runs he's scoring. I know he's not gonna be like an RBI machine because
he's
he's a
not a good
leadoff hitter.
base runner. He's not a good defensive player. He has no power. His one attribute is that he can, that he can do wee willy keeler, right? I mean, he gets on base with the little dunks and stuff like that. Not, it's not like he's a bad player, but I'm sure
I don't
that
So I
think you're
look at it,
saying that.
I'm sure
but I
Bendix
look at
came.
it the other way. I look at it the other way. The Padres farm system has been depleted over and over and over again with all these trades they make.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone says, oh, like the Marlins got a haul. Well, it's a haul of kids, right? You're not getting high level prospects. The Padres don't have them. Jackson Merrill's they're not a top.
You hear about like how the whole thing went down with their minor league teams were playing each other when that trade happened and they were in the middle of a game. So midway through the game, 3 players from the other side had to grab their shit and run across the fucking field to the other dugout and go find a fucking locker. And then I don't know if they allowed them to come back. I don't think they could allow them to come
Well, they had to
back
pull
on
him from the
play.
game because you can't have him get injured. I mean
Yeah.
that slight chance that it would happen, but you know.
Yep. So that was
Well,
pretty wild.
if you're talking about Marlins Padres, who's the winner of the deal? I don't like what either team's doing, but I understand what they're. I mean, the Marlins are
Right.
They've had such change. The guy that's pulling the strings has been different for 3 seasons in a row, right? So it's just that's not the way to get things done because you're just undoing. You're not getting anywhere, right? You keep like taking a step forward, taking a step back. So they just have to leave somebody in charge, and I'm sure that Bendix will be there for a while, and maybe he'll really turn it around, But in the Padres, they're just easy to understand that they made some piss poor decisions, and they're like in a poker game. Instead of folding, they're staying in because oh shit, I've already put all this money in, you know. But looking back, they should never have signed Bogarts. That didn't make sense then. It certainly doesn't make
And
sense.
now they're paying him like a shortstop, and now he's a second baseman.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
What they're doing doesn't make any sense. I mean,
and Cronenworth, I believe, is paid like a second baseman, and they slid him over to first. I mean that.
Yeah, now Cronenworth could have been the second baseman, which when he wasn't hitting until this year, until he wasn't on my team anymore, would have made been more palatable. But to have him at first last year was just it's a hole for them, and it's a terrible production for first baseman. Of course, now it's all moot because he's been doing really well. So,
Right.
but
Well, I don't know. Do you think that San Diego isn't like really in the running for it this year by the trade deadline? You might have a little bit of a fire sale or try to sell off a couple of their high chips and maybe
Cease for
maybe restock the farm system a little bit with guys that are close to coming up that might be able to take their place here next year.
Cease for sure will be available if they're out of it.
Oh, I would have to think so. Yeah, he's been. Oh my God, that's the best thing ever happened to me was him getting traded.
They fall low on him and they can sell high.
I had to deal with so much shit last year with him because his team sucked. Not giving, and then he just didn't give a fuck after a while. But he's like rejuvenated now that he's at San Diego. I would love to see him back on the Cubs, to be honest with you.
Boy, that trade really went sour. The Cubs. Cease and Eloy.
Sure as a fuck did. Was he part of the
Quintana?
Oh my God. They still got Eloy over there, but I don't know if you got the better end of that deal.
I mean, Eloy for Quintana straight up seems fair at this point.
The other guys never made it to the big leagues, I don't think. Well, I've got the baseball reference up right now. Let me bring that trade up.
Quintana was already not looking as good at the time of that deal, right? That's what I vaguely remember.
He was a left-handed pitcher, and the Cubs didn't have a left-handed pitcher.
Also solid fit in the rotation, doesn't give up homers, park fit. Like, I mean, you could argue that on a team with a contender, having a 3-4 starter who's just going to roll grounders for you.
All right.
Makes some sense.
So,
boy, did they give up a lot.
The trade was the Cubs traded Dylan Cease, Eloy Jimenez, Matt Rose, and Bryant Flete, who is a Caribbean player. I remember he's like a second baseman or some shit.
So they gave up 2 good players and 2.
Matt Rose was a catcher, I believe.
So if
One
Loy
second.
had stayed healthy, that would have been
Now he was a first baseman, third
that would have been a
baseman,
really
right
bad
fielder,
trade.
Matt Rose. So Matt Rose, I think he quit. Yeah, he quit fucking baseball in 2019. Oh yeah. That Brian Flete, I don't know where he's at, but good on you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure
Was it,
about
was
Cease.
it
I wasn't
straight for
sure
Quintana?
about
Was
Cease
that
this
straight for
year.
Quintana?
Was it?
Was that straight for Quintana, or did they get another
Oh yeah, that was
prospect?
a straight for Quintana.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a stinker. Um,
Now he's
yeah.
he's his semi-mediocre self with the Mets.
Granted, though, Dylan Cease was still in the minors for a good year and a half to 2 years under the White Sox before he actually came up. Maybe a year.
But he was a highly regarded prospect.
Oh no, he was. He was. He just wasn't ready yet. He was like the top prospect in the deal. Eloy Jimenez was like really what they were trying to trade for. Oh, I bet you Mike just let out a big fart. He didn't want anybody to see his face squinch, and he didn't want anybody to hear it. All right. So
He's back.
we said you farted.
I mean, sure.
You turned off the microphone and the camera at the same time, and I was
You
just like,
guy.
yeah.
I mean that's impressive. If the camera and the microphone are off for that long, it's put me in call the Guinness Book of World Records there.
I'm gonna take my dog out for a second. You guys discuss amongst yourselves.
All right, I'll just continue with this
Little
standings
one-on-one time
chart.
with Lou and Mike Lansu. Lou and
All right.
Lansu. That has a ring to it.
Lance Lou.
Lou and Lansu. Or Lansu and Lou.
I like Lance Lou.
So
Sir Lancelot.
all right, so we talked about hitting, and you can see Sats way on top on the non-safe hold pitching points per inning pitched, and you and Daddies are at the bottom. Let's see who's actually in last. The Daddies. So you're slightly ahead of the Daddies on a non-safe hold points per inning pitched. Pitching.
Well, I don't really have closers though. I mean, that's an issue that
Well, this is non-closer stuff.
right.
And then
okay.
if I slide over here, I know that
I should be last on closers.
Yeah,
they all got
last
hurt
in the save and hold points. I'm second to last, so we're similar. And then Satch has so many. Look, he's got 3.5 times as many save hold points as you do. He's got over triple mine. So
yeah, I mean, I obviously drafted Leclerc, who went poorly for me, lost the closer job. I had Seawald, who immediately got hurt. So I think there's some opportunity there. I did just drop AJ Puck because he's terrible, and he's allegedly back in the bullpen and in contention for the closer job. I just don't see how any manager can give him the closer job after I don't know. I watched his first 3 starts, and he can't throw a strike. You just can't close a guy who can't throw a strike.
I can't remember where he is. He's not in Miami anymore, right?
He's still in Miami.
Oh, okay.
But he had a walk issue, and so they moved him to the starting. I don't know. Former pitcher. I don't tolerate walks.
I wonder if Miami will change, at least somewhat, change their philosophy about going after the young pitchers. That seemed like that's what they were doing. And
who was the guy?
It seems like maybe, look at the model that the Orioles have. The Orioles haven't gone after what they got. Grayson Rodriguez, they had DL Hall, who was maybe not going to be that great. Who knows? But they've got, they just went after hitters. I wonder if Miami's going to be like, you know what, we can't go after pitchers because it's like so half the guys, sometimes more than half, like get hurt. So
Well, they took it's got to be about 7 years ago now. They drafted a high school pitcher out of Texas, and I cannot remember his name, but I was a big fan. And he was throwing 101, 102 in high school, was supposed to be a sure thing. I thought he should have been the #1 pick. He fell all the way to number 2 or 3 in Miami. And sure as shit, he blew his arm out in first or second year and has never made the majors.
Yeah, I mean, position players get hurt too, but it just seems like it's a better bet to go with the position player. And then, like the Orioles, they could trade a few of those guys for a pitcher. They could, you can always sign a free agent. It just seems like the better way to go, right? I mean, it's like the Reds were trying to copy the Braves when the Braves extended, prematurely extended Riley and Michael Harris. So the Reds went ahead and did that with like Hunter Green, and I was like, but the Braves aren't doing it with their pitchers so much. It's like more of a position player thing. Because
Yeah, but I think Hunter Green's a nice player. I think he's in a bad ballpark. I mean, I don't know if I would have extended him at that cost, but
or at that time, it's like, what are you so afraid of? That he's going to get to free agency and you can't afford him? So what? Then just let him go. I don't know. Like it seems like to to commit yourself years before you have to, so that you can save some money 4 years from now or something. It just seems like, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't worry about it like that. Maybe extend one of these position players. They have a ton of position players. Maybe concentrate on those guys.
Spencer Steer or Ellie De La Cruz. I mean, those are the guys.
Why don't you concentrate on those guys, and then when the pitchers become free agents, either you sign them or you just let them go. I mean, it's not the biggest tragedy in the world. If a free agent pitcher signs for too much money, how often does that turn out good? Like, I mean, I know Scherzer. It's like one of the only.
Well, it depends on if it's a Boris client.
I mean, it's Garrett Cole's the one who really turned out, right? I mean, we all looked at the Garrett Cole contract. We all looked at the numbers and went, "Holy shit! This guy, the guy who gives up a ton of homers, is going to go to Yankee Stadium. You're giving this guy money?" And I mean, great deal for the Yankees because you're the Yankees and you can just eat him as a 2 or a 3, and he turns out to be a 1. But if any other team signs him and he turns out as a 2 or a 3, other than the Dodgers and maybe the Giants, like they're handcuffed for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, be curious to see what the Yankees do with Soto. It seems like the way people talk around here is like they have to sign him. And how much does he command?
Unless you defer like 90% of the contract.
Sign him.
Fucking Dodgers.
Give him all the money he wants.
But really, I never worry for the Yankees, so I don't really give a shit. It doesn't bother me. I don't hate them like I used to, but I don't care if they have a season where they lost 100 games. I would feel fine, So, so I don't know. I don't worry about them too much. I was thinking about the Mets and the Cardinals are doing something similar this year with their pitchers. Like the Mets have a bunch of mediocre innings kind of pitchers. The only difference with the Cardinals is that the Mets guys are maybe slightly younger, just slightly. And so you can probably win with a team like that, but you better be like a mashing team. Like that seems like that would be the philosophy, right? The Cardinals bring in Lance Lynn, Gibson, right? Gibson and Gray, right? Jeez, they brought in a bunch of
Gray. Yeah.
Those guys are good pitchers, and they were off to decent starts. I think they're maybe not doing as well lately, but
I don't know what's wrong. I mean, the
you
Cardinals
can win with that kind of stuff, like an innings eater, a mediocre innings eater, but you have to hit, and the Cardinals aren't hitting. I mean,
well, the Cardinals clearly have a philosophy problem. I mean, that Goldschmidt and Arenado's power is down, you could say is a fluke. I mean, I would argue both of them being down is probably not a fluke, but that you're seeing power down across the board from them over 2 years now. I mean, this is with a terrible manager, right? A manager who we've seen not manage the bullpen well, with a manager who we've seen year after year have high walked in runs. I mean, this seems like a larger organizational problem that I
What
don't
do
know
you
what they're
think Nolan? What do you think Nolan Gorman is hitting right now?
180.
187.
Oh my God.
He's
Does he
got an
have any
OPS
pop?
of 638.
Any what has he got? Like 4 homers?
5.
5? I mean,
Yep, he's
what?
got a 0.0 WAR this year.
Arenado's got what? 2 or 3 homers. Goldie's got 2 or 3. Nootbaar was hurt and hitting for a little power, low average. I mean, this is a larger problem for the Cardinals.
Arenado's hitting 270. Yeah, he's not hitting with power,
this
but
is a
he's
good
yeah, his slugging is way down. Everybody's slugging is way down. They're probably doing something across the board. We're trying to get people to join the hit parade, and just like let's move the band around the bases and fuck the home runs and all that shit. I don't know.
I wouldn't think this is a problem if you have a younger team or a bunch of unknowns, but you have Goldie, you've got Arenado. I mean, you've got established guys here. We know
What do you think Goldschmidt's
Goldie's
hitting?
old enough that it could be you have to worry about age.
Could be decline.
Arenado's 2 years younger, but he's no spring chicken either.
Not that kind of decline, though.
He's 36. What do you think he's hitting right now? He'll be 37 by the end of the season. But what do you think? What do you think his batting average is right now?
175?
No, it's 197. He's got 3 home runs, OBP of 280, slugging percentage of 279.
This is a trend on this team now.
He is a base hitter now.
Yeah.
I was going to say this is a nice time of the year. One of the times of the year where it's really easy to extrapolate the stats out. I can't think of the right word, but because we're almost exactly 25% of the way through the season as of late yesterday. Anyway, so just multiply
Jordan
by
Walker.
4.
They just got
Jordan
a lot
Walker
of terrible hitters right now.
He's in the minors, I think, right now.
I think he got sent down. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was hitting 155. So I think they have to fire their manager.
Well, I think he's a bad manager, but I mean, I don't know if Mike Schilt would have been able to help these guys right now either. I don't know.
You'll have to fact check me on this. I believe they walked in the most runs in baseball 2 years in a row. So he doesn't manage the bullpen real well. And if that's not exactly correct, it's gotta be close. Like,
well, the way that they handled Contreras last year, and who was the guy that wasn't going quickly around the bases, and he wasn't really dogging it, but I guess he wasn't going 100%. But do you remember which? I think it was probably an outfielder. I can't remember who it was.
yeah, I don't remember who it was.
But there's just so much dysfunction there. I feel I can relate to it as a Mets fan. It's more like the way the Mets would do things. But yeah, the Cardinals are a mess. They're I mean, I don't know. They're a mess. The decisions they've made from the top. So it's not just the manager. It's like above that. Mozeliak or whatever. And I guess he's going to retire at the end of next year. Well, maybe he'll step down sooner because he's doing a lousy job for them. I mean, I don't know what he did in the past. I'm not going to say he's always done a lousy job, but he's doing a lousy job right now. That division, any sort of, management could have had them contending for the top of that division last year and this year.
it's not a strong division, no.
It's getting stronger. Like, you kind of missed your window slightly, but I don't know. But yeah, they're a mess. But so you can bring in Lance Lynn if you think like, yeah, we're going to win games, 7-5, 7-6, 8-6. But they're losing games, 8-2 or whatever. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen that exact score. I haven't researched it that much, but that's what I would suspect. They're giving up a lot of runs and they're not scoring many.
I was just looking to see. It's 0-0, but they could have been losing 8-2 right now. Give them another hour or two.
The scary thing is that, if anything, Lynn, Gibson, and Gray early in the year, I don't know, maybe as of a few weeks ago, probably, were doing better than probably people expected. right? Their
Gray for
ERAs,
sure.
their
Well,
ERAs were
Gray,
lower than, and I know,
Gray for sure his strikeout numbers were way up. Even on limited innings, his strikeout numbers were way up. And we know what Sonny Gray is. He's a no homer guy, a strikeout per inning guy, and then he got blown up the other day. He gave up 3 or 4 homers.
He's mine.
Yeah.
Well, that's concerning because you also know what Lance Lynn and Gibson are, and they're dudes who they give up homers.
I have Gibson too, don't I? Now I picked him up, so I got Gibson. Here I am talking about how those guys are no good.
I got Lynn. I
team.
got Lynn, and I know what he is, and just like he struggles with left-handed power.
Yeah.
He's done it for years, and in the right matchup, Lance Lynn is fine. Against a bunch of lefties on a 90-degree humid day in the New Bush, which is a fantastic park, he's gonna get blown up.
Well, and it's just not looking like he's not going to get better. He's old now.
Oh, right. He's not adding 5 miles of velo to that
So-
fastball.
But that's what their plan was. They got these guys to pitch innings, which is, I guess if you don't have anybody to pitch innings, yeah, you need some innings. But geez, couldn't they have aimed a little higher than some of these guys?
Well, the cardinal way is Libator. Michael Libator, Matthew Libator,
Matthew, yeah.
that I don't know says something about the cardinal way.
Yeah. Cardinals lost their way. All right. Well, we'll just finish up with the predicted standings. So you can see that it predicts that Satch will go to 119 wins now. So over the past 2 weeks, he's gone from like 110 and 11 to 114 to 119. And let's see where they have Weight now. Weight, it still doesn't like you that much, I guess, because of the innings overage. And your
algorithm's broken right now.
Yeah. The underages don't get corrected. Like it just predicts that you'll stay at that same level the whole year, even though that's not, in your case, probably true. But in my experience, it was a mistake to assume that people would make up their underages because they usually didn't. But you can, if you, like I know that Let's Play has a innings pitched underage, and I'll bet you that I think actually he's already closed the gap. This past week, I noticed it was like 15 innings that he made up on a overage, on an underage basis, So anyway, so all right, and Daddy's 65.91. Does that seem about right? You aiming higher than that?
65.91. I'm even higher. Might have to take me to like
69?
trade Soto off for like 4 players, but I'll get there.
Jeff wants 4 more wins.
Here's that rates and ranks tab. So it's just it's just for fun. You can see what your team's OBP is. Some of these are approximations. If we don't get this, there's so much stuff in OBP, like that, the catcher interference, things like that we don't have. So I approximate that based on last year's league averages and stuff. But these are pretty damn close. So but so you can see your OBP is 337 and you're slugging 406. And then I guess your WOBA is what is it, 323 according to
Your
that.
WOBA is 323.
Maybe this ranks part is a little more meaningful. So like you can see hitting wise, wait till next year. You are second in WOBA. These are probably the 2 better ones. And the runs per game.
Oh, my pitching has just sucked.
And then Daddy's right under you there. Daddies are 7th in WOBA, 7th in runs per game. So middle of the pack hitting. And then
It's good to
pitching.
see I'm running up those innings with terrible pitching.
Yeah, pitching, you can see that both you guys are not doing too well. I mean, Waite's ERA is 11th in the league. Your FIP is 9th, so you're probably pitching a little bit better than 11th. And Daddies are 12th in both ERA and FIP, so not looking too good.
Yeah.
Way to go, Jeff. Let's make a trade.
Hot fucking garbage.
But Daddy's
Oh, what I'm gonna do? Buy a broken ass DeGrom off you? Sorry, man. I don't touch pitchers that spend more time on the DL than on the field. I can't do it.
It's
let's
called the IL now.
yeah, let's look at something that
Well,
that Jeff is doing well at. And
that motherfucker's disabled. He's got a placard hanging from his fucking rearview mirror.
the little bullpen piece. Daddies are second in the league from their save and hold pitch points. So second to Satch, way behind, but second nonetheless. And then Waite has the fewest. You know, we already talked about that. I'm second fewest, so I'm right there with you. So, and this is the top players at by team. So I think this is the top 28 hitters, and you can see who has who. And I thought I'd group it by team just to kind of. It's kind of, I like it when
I tell you what, Profar for Bake, man, that guy's coming through. And I always like William Contreras, man. I wish I never gave him up. I had Wilson and William at the same time, but it was he at the time somebody else came back and he just wasn't getting played. So
And did you say that Baked has Yamamoto too?
yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you can see how McBride's had withstood the injuries they've had. Well, it's these guys: William Contreras, top catcher in our in our league, and Ellie and Gunner, Jerson Profar with a great
He's
start.
got Bellinger too.
He's got Ranger Suarez and Imanaga. Oh my god! I kind of like seeing it by team because it helps me remember better, like who's on somebody's team. Like a lot of times I hear something good or bad happens, and I look up who it is because I don't remember who has who.
Right.
And Bizzatti doesn't have any of the top 28 hitters, and they've got Zach Wheeler and Jose Barrios, so a couple of good pitchers in there. Knockers have a bunch of hitters in the top 28. And they've got Logan Gilbert. They've got Tucker Judge, Tatis, Thomas, Bryce Harper, so lots of hitters. And then Spear has Freeman and Altuve and Tariq Skubal. And then
Kubal's been great.
And then Hack could use a little, there we go. Hack's got Josh Naylor and Salvador Perez. Like I said a few weeks ago, it seems like Salvador Perez has been on Hack's team since, I don't know, what year, 2015? I don't know. It's probably not that long, but he's had him for a while. And he's got Clay Holmes, one of the top bullpen guys. I don't even know if he's blown a save yet.
At first I was like, he traded Cal Raleigh for Tanner Houck. And now I'm seeing this, I'm going, that was probably a good deal on fucking John's part. Even though Cal Raleigh, he's still gonna fucking help out, who was that that traded with him? Was that Page and Dr. Satchel?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
all those Red Sox pitchers, though, man, that new pitching coach who has him throwing more breakers instead of more fastballs is onto something.
Yep.
I did see something
all those guys are going to be on Tommy John soon.
I did see something last week on MLB that the Red Sox lead, at least at that point, like a week ago, lead all of baseball in unearned runs. So,
the defense is terrible. I mean, they're putting first baseman at third.
But I think sometimes the unearned run will bail your pitcher out too, right? I mean, like none of the runs are what he did, So you would think that the ERA of that staff is going to be higher. I think everybody would have thought that anyway, but there's real reasons to think that.
Yeah. Hey man, look at how many players I got on this fucking list and where I'm at in the fucking standings.
Well, let's get down to you.
What is going on?
Let's play. It's got Ohtani and Steer, and then Tanner Houck and Helsley, one of the top bullpen guys. Gags have Marcell Ozuna. This is cheating because I just picked up Romero today, so I haven't gotten any of these points. And Tyler Anderson, who I'm close to dropping him. So if you like Tyler Anderson, he might be available soon. I think he might be like my 9th out of 10 pitchers, so he's close. Don't be surprised to see him out there. Even though I didn't even realize he was doing this well. So I don't know. Yeah, now we're at the dads. Yeah, four hitters. You got Bobby Witt, Juan Soto, Ketel Marte, and Christian Walker. even got 3 pitchers, right? You got Cease, you got Blanco, you picked up during the no-hitter, and you got Finnegan, one of the top bullpen guys.
Dude, I sort of got, and you know what though, Yandy Diaz is starting to hit. Thank God for that.
But it
He's
took him a while.
his April was dog shit, man. I mean, but he's like really picked it up over here in the last 4 games.
I love him.
That whole team was a little rough out of the gate.
I can't believe that we actually pulled that Yandy Diaz Alonso trade off, because I'm a Mets fan who doesn't really like Alonso that much, which is nuts,
You want
right?
to trade back for him?
And I'll look at it. I probably wouldn't. And Diaz, I love. I love Diaz.
Let's look at the polar bear. I'd be interested in him too.
He's just so dumb. I'm sorry, I don't know.
He's like a big baby out there.
You don't have to have a degree in engineering or a law degree or something like that, for me to think you're smart. Like, I think Taiwan Walker is really smart. I can tell from the interviews and how quickly he answered stuff, and he said semi-interesting stuff, which is a rarity in those post-game interviews. So I don't know. And then the Mets got rid of him. They didn't like him as much as I liked him. All right, Sombreros have one hitter in the top 28. They got Marcus Semien, and then they've got 3 pitchers. They've got Luis Castillo, Cutter Crawford, one of the Red Sox pitchers, and Clase, one of the top bullpen guys. And then Cows, you see, have none of the top pitchers. I think it was 16 starters and 6 relievers. That's the top guys, and it's top 28 hitters. But they've got a bunch of hitters. They've got 5. I think that matches the most that we have, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, that's my
Knockers had 5.
Knockers had 5. I had 4. Big Brides had how many?
So Cows have Betts, Bohm's off to a great year. Start Jose Ramirez, Volpe having a wonderful sophomore follow-up to his so-so, rookie year, and then Riley Green. And last but not least, wait till next year. You got one of each. You got C.J. Abrams.
I got one. I'm struggling, but I got one.
And Bryce Miller.
Not a guy I expected to be in there. C.J. Abrams, I did think would be in there, but Miller. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is something I did today. This is kind of like Buddha for major league teams. So this is based on their run differential. This is what their record should be at this point in the season. So if you have a negative number, it means that you should have 3 fewer wins. So that's bad for Tampa and Toronto. They're already 4th and 5th in the division. And according to this, they're lucky to have 3. They should have 3 fewer wins. And run differential, obviously, if you win a game by 17 runs, it's going to bump up your win expectancy, even though it's just 1 win. So it's not a perfect stat, but I think over the long haul, it's there's something there. And Boston's overachieving by 2 games according to this.
Do you remember the Padre team in 08, 09 that made the playoffs on a negative run differential?
Yeah. What year was that? That wasn't that long ago, right? The
I
Marlins. I think the Marlins did that last year, right? Or
but that's the expanded playoffs. I think the Padres did it pre-expanded playoffs. They were the first team to ever do it. It must have been 08, 09 or 9, 10. I mean, they were about negative 64 in run differential and made it when it was 1 wild card.
Yeah, I mean, that's extremely lucky. And there's other factors, right? You could say good managing. You could say they probably had a decent bullpen, But yeah, if you're negative and you have and you make the playoffs, you probably had a real lucky year. So yeah. Even the White Sox should have 1 fewer win according to this.
That's sad. They're one of the worst teams I've watched in a long.
I'm sorry, but Paper McFall is not the answer, and neither is Chris Getz. And Jesus Christ, man.
They cut Robbie Grossman.
Why the fuck? Here's the thing. Why do you fucking promote the guy in charge of player development when you don't really develop a whole lot of good players. Well, you're constantly failing with your first and second picks every year. I don't get it.
Jeff, do you know Chris or no? He used to hang out like at our local.
I know, but so be it. I mean, it's yeah.
Say that
Who
again.
knows? He might know something we don't, but I'm sure he does. But fuck,
Where are you talking about Getz?
it's tough to watch.
Mike, did you say Getz used to hang out at a bar you used to go to?
Getz used to hang out at Lemmings. He lived around the corner.
Really? I didn't know that. How did I not know that?
Well, hangout is probably a very loose term. He would pop in occasionally, and I don't know, Jeff, you probably saw him. McGuire saw him. I met him once or twice.
Oh, well, I sort of,
Probably seen it before. I just didn't know it was him.
Last time we brought it up, that I don't think. Do I think that he's going to be an above average general manager? I guess if I had to predict, I would say no. But you can't judge him yet. At least on his.
I know.
There was nothing that
cupboard is empty.
I wouldn't be having such a rough time with this if it wasn't that he was the director of player development and they weren't really getting a lot out of their draft picks.
Yeah, it's not a good sign, but he could still be maybe better at overseeing than he was as a soldier or something. I don't know. So as a general,
it's just it's I don't know. Kind of feel like it's the former player thing. If you notice that Reinsdorf is pretty loyal to some guy. He gains relationships with players that come through the system. That's why it happened with Kenny Williams, and now it's happening again with Chris Getz. But I'm just like, you got to go outside the box for a second and try something new.
Well,
like win.
That's not the Reinsdorf way.
They're probably going to need him to just pass on, right? I mean, he's not going to give anything up.
Yeah, I don't know. His son's in charge of some shit now, so I'm sure it passed along to him. But the only thing I can hope is that it would do like what happened to the Blackhawks back in the day. When old man Bill Wirtz that everybody couldn't stand finally bid it and Rocky took over and it was on from there. They put their shit on TV and it was just a better vibe. Anywho.
Reinsdorf is he's a stubborn man, right? I mean, like, look what he really thought that the Bulls' good fortune that fell in his lap, that he could repeat that. Like he didn't understand that's going to happen like once in 100 years or something. That situation, getting Jordan and then getting Pippen, a guy that grew, after he was an adult. So you had this forward body and a guard's agility and a forward's body. I mean, that was just good fortune. And I think that they thought that they were really smart. And
one of the most disgusting things I saw him do was basically help kibosh the 93 season and lock the players out and not have a World Series when his team was in fucking first place and they were at their prime. They probably would have been in the World Series against Montreal Expos. And he blew that whole fucking thing up because he didn't want the fucking salaries to get too high and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as the whole lockout was over, what's he do? He goes and signs Albert Bell to a record contract at the time. It's like $40 million over 4 years or some shit.
By the way, I saw a podcast with what's that guy's name? Chris Rose, the guy that used to be on Intentional Talk.
Mm-hmm.
And he interviewed Al Bell because Chris Rose is if that's his name. Jesus, it doesn't sound right.
I know who he is.
And he loves Albert Bell. And that interview was great. I really enjoyed it. I've always liked Albert Bell, and I know that he's at least somewhat misunderstood or greatly misunderstood. I always thought he was he was a great ball player, right? And but I just respected him. You know, he was a smart ball player. He's like smarter than a lot of the ball players are. You know, I always like it when you get a smarter ball player in there. You know, he's not he's you know, he's not like some inner city guy. He's not some hillbilly. You know, like his parents were I think they're both professors, or you know, like he's from a smart background. And if he hadn't, he said during the interview, if he hadn't been a baseball player, he probably would have gone into accounting. I think he got his degree in accounting, and his brother is an accountant. You know, like it's just. I think hopefully I'm not mixing up the interviews, but anyways, if you watch that,
there is no
one.
better gift than Albert Bell blowing up. I believe it was Jonathan V.E.R. at second base.
It was Fernando Vina, right?
It was Fernando Vina. Yeah. Okay.
They talked about that too.
On a ground ball double play, and he just laid him out. I'm mixing up my Milwaukee Brewers middling second baseman.
Oh, I love that too.
Or what's his name? Jason Grimsley going over and crawling through the ceiling. I think it was Jason Grimsley. Yeah, he was crawling through the ceiling to go retrieve his cork-laden bat in the umpire's room. Got it too.
Mission Impossible, right?
Yeah. They found a bunch of like all busted up like foam board from a drop ceiling all over the place.
Well, in the AL West, you can see Houston's off to a terrible start. And according to this, they should have a couple extra wins, but they'd still be under 500. So it's a bad start. NL East, nobody's too far away from what their actual record is.
And Miami and the White Sox are just going neck and neck for the worst piece of shit team in the league.
According to this, the Cubbies should have 2 fewer wins than they have. So take that for what it's worth. And the Reds should have 2 more. But, you know.
All right. I really do have to let the dog out now. It was pouring before, and now it's not raining anymore, and he's up my ass again. Be right back.
I gotta hop off soon. So
okay, all right. So according to this, the Diamondbacks should have 3 more wins. So, you know,
yeah, if Corbin Carroll
a little closer to the Dodgers. I guess not much. It would be like 6 games.
No one's running them down.
I don't know. Maybe I'll save this one for another time. But this was what I emailed out in February. I don't know if you got it too. You should have been getting it.
I should have, yeah.
But this is just all of the games started last year, like what percentage. So like 28.8% of the games started resulted in a win, 31.8% were a loss, and 39.4% were no decisions, you know. So back when we were younger, these numbers were, you wouldn't have nearly 40% no decisions, you know, but that's a direct correlation to how many innings the guys are going. You know, you can see you go 6.6. This is actually 0.1. This is not in a third. So these are real, you know, that's 6.1 innings, not how they do it, you know.
4.7 is pretty fascinating. I would have thought that would have been closer to like 5.1, 5.2.
But yeah, 6.1 innings in the average win, and then losses and no decisions, it's 4.7 innings.
I'd be curious. I mean, there's no way to filter it easily if you eliminate bullpen days. Because, I mean, so many teams are just running straight bullpen days.
This includes bullpen starts. Yes, that's true.
Right.
That's something, yeah, it's definitely something to consider. In fact, I don't even know if I remembered to think about that. But
well, there's probably no way to filter it, especially as you have guys now like what's his name? Anderson on either Boston or Tampa, who they start, but they go like 2 to 2.1.
Right, like what Ryan Yarbrough used to do with Tampa.
I just picked up Ryan Yarbrough. Yeah, figured I'd write him out for a little bit.
But this is the beer league points per game start. Just, you know, would this include the win then? No. So this is not even including the win. But you can see just the innings pitched and earned runs part of it. The average win, you get 14.3. plus the win, plus the quality start, maybe. And then you can see in the loss, it's 1.9. Non-wins are 5.1. I don't know. This is better to like look at than I don't know, to go over probably verbally, but so well, I thought this was interesting that see, I think I said the wrong thing before. I think I said that you were less likely to get a quality start than you were a win. But according to this, wins were rarer than quality starts last year. So I don't think I remembered my own analysis well because you see that it's a little over a third of starts are quality starts, and a
So
little
that would factor into the openers and the guys who just go a few innings.
was it?
That would factor into the openers and the guys who
absolutely.
go a few innings, right? Like you're going to get that quality start a little bit, but you're not going to get that win.
And then wins and quality starts together. So you get a win and a quality start. That happens 19% of the time. That's like one out of 5 times. This is for the league, so probably for us it is probably like 1 in 5. That's what you love. You get the win and the quality start. That's so 5% of the time you get a loss and a quality start, and 10% of the time you get a no decision and a quality start.
I would have thought that would have been higher.
And then about 10% of the time you get a win but no quality start. And then a little over half the time you don't get a win or a quality start. So anyways. Yeah, so the average start last year was 5.1 innings. That, like you said, like you pointed out, that does include like a bullpen guy starts. That's not 5 1/3 innings, that's 5.1. So anyways. All right, I guess I'm done sharing. That was a long share, a bunch of stuff.
New charts. I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah. I emailed
That's
that
an awesome one. I can't wait to
Or
dig
the
it.
or the like standings, like the Buddha for the league. Been a busy bee.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't take too long. That takes like probably 10 minutes to put together.
Yeah, this is you talking to the master of spreadsheets.
Yeah, I was going to say 10
pointed out.
minutes if you're 10 minutes if you're good at spreadsheets, 3 hours if you're
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
should
good
have
at
pointed out.
Excel.
So in baseball, so far this year, it's 9.9 runs per win. So if you have a 0-run differential, you're going to be at 500, and then if you have 9.9 runs above, practically 10, then that would be an extra win, and that's consistent with what it's been for a long time. Like it's usually just rule of thumb: 10 extra runs above or below will get you an extra win or loss.
Cool.
How
Well,
do
thanks
we
for coming on, Mike.
Yeah, how do we end? Are we going with what are we drinking? Because I'm going Miller Lite. Jeff, what are you drinking?
Let's give
Well,
you some final
I was
thoughts.
drinking a Jameson and diet. It started as a Jameson rocks, but as I started to sip down the Jameson, I just started putting Diet Coke into it.
Lou, what were you drinking?
Yeah, I just diluted the fuck out of it all the way down.
I'm drinking my Boda box here.
And my drink is gone, so I had a 12-pack of Shiner Bock in there too, but I didn't touch the beer.
Well, Mike,
all right, I'm on my way, Jeff.
Let me give you the last any of your thoughts, and I will I'll shut it. I've talked a lot this week.
I mean, I don't have a ton of thoughts other than, I mean, we talked a little bit about it. I think the Cardinals are broken. I think the Cardinals are broken for the year. I don't think any of them are going to rebound.
Are you in a Roto League too?
I am not, but
you've done those in the past, or
I have. And so anyone who disagrees with me, I will gladly trade any of my Cardinals.
No, thank you.
So do you have any thoughts on rotisserie league versus points league?
Oh, the rotisserie league. Well, I mean, there are pros and cons. I hate head-to-head leagues. I think head-to-head is too small of a sample size. I like rotisserie leagues. I like the way that you kind of break it down rotisserie by week.
Yeah.
I think it's fair and keeps people in it. That said, the thing that I'm still checking every day is it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I'm looking at where I'm at on the Yahoo standings page every day and seeing myself move up and knowing that over time that's going to pay off.
Do you have your minor leagues filled out? You have all your NA spots soaked up?
Well, I did have Mr. Paul Skeens called up the other day.
Oh, that was your guy. Okay.
Yeah, and I should have Jace Young called up soon because I don't know how much longer they can go with Colton Keith at second base. But
Yeah. What I would
so
suggest is just keep filling those spots back up when one comes up,
yeah, I
go
gotta
hunting.
refill them. Yeah, I gotta
You
refill
know,
those.
I go to like MILB.com, minorleaguebaseball.com, and check the stats and bring up
I had a
somebody who's
couple
got
guys I like.
dope
Yeah,
ass stats, and then the younger they are with dope ass stats in AAA, the better.
yeah.
Now,
So
if they're like 30, they're like,
you
oh,
got
you're a 4A
Skeens.
player.
Did you get Skeens in the auction then? I'm wondering how you got
I
Skeens.
did. I paid up for. Yeah, I paid for Skeens
So he
because I had
wasn't
so much.
available in Yahoo last year, I guess. Then, right? Is that what it was?
He
No.
was not
Yeah.
because he was first. He was drafted, and
Paul Skeens was $18.
yeah.
Okay.
I will be keeping Paul Skeens unless something terrible goes awry.
Yeah, you got an $8 AJ Puck here too.
I will not be keeping an $8 AJ Puck. He can go puck himself. So, right. You sending this out tomorrow?
Yeah, maybe even later tonight. I don't know. It takes a long time to convert it or something. I don't know. Sometimes I fall asleep before it fully converts. I wake up in the morning. So,
Well, make sure I don't sound like Rick Hogan and sound at least semi-smart. Those were two unrelated thoughts.
where do you live?
Let's say, look who he's talking to.
I'm in Chicago. I'm in Wicker Park. Yeah.
So you knew who did you know? You knew Phil, I know.
I know
I,
Phil, I know Jeff, I
I
know
was the one that kind
Paul.
of recruited him for it, and then he
Yeah.
happened to know Phil after the fact.
I know but I've known Paul and Kimmler and yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
We don't need to talk about my long drinking history in this neighborhood.
it goes back to when I worked there.
Yeah. What is it? Quote Brockmeyer, back in my era. Hey buddy, what's your deal? It all started when I was born 3 months premature. Right.
It's like
All
new,
right.
right?
I gotta log off, boys.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, good having you on, and thank you. And we'll have to do that. We'll do this again. Well, probably one more time
Yeah,
throughout the season, if not
this is
twice.
this is great. I'm in.
All
Yeah,
right,
so
cool.
what's your
Dude,
record
Jeff.
since you were 0-9?
I looked it up today. It was just under 500 or right around there. So I'm
15,
15 and 27, so 14 and
15 and
15 or 15.
12, right?
No, when I did it today, I was either one game over or one game under, I thought.
What am I looking at? Oh, I'm looking at something. Okay, good. You are 15 and 24. Okay, yeah. So you're
So
15 and
-9 is
15 and 15.
Yeah.
yeah,
So if
so
he wasn't for the 0-9 and you went like even,
so I'm right around the
you'd
middle.
be at 500.
Yeah, you're 500 since the bad start.
Well, we gotta do a little better.
Oh yeah, 500 is mediocre, man. Can't do 500. It's like I said last week, man. 3 and 3 ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna move the needle.
Well, you're
If
ahead
you're
of
not first, you're
Jeff.
last. If
Yeah.
you're not first, you're last.
Yep. Ricky
All
Bobby.
right.
All right.
Let me
right,
do this
man.
again soon.
Thanks for
This was
coming on.
super fun. Hey.
All right. See you, bud. Well, another successful B.E.E.R League podcast.
So you want to go on for another hour like we did last week after Chris left?
No, I gotta get shit done here. I've got a few things in the lurk.
No drive-in stories or What else? What else we talk about? Drive-ins? No.
Drive-in stories.
Oh, I can't remember.
Did we talk about drive-ins?
Yeah, drive-ins. No.
Dude, I was fucking last one. I was fucking pretty wasted by the end of that one. Fuck. I
Oh
was
God,
like, I
wait.
gotta get out of here. I'm done.
There's something
Fuck.
else. Oh, I can't remember. Drive-ins. There was something else that we got. We started talking about drive-ins because you came back and you were singing the refreshment song. Let's all go to the lobby. And then we started talking about drive-ins. There was some other tangent too, and I can't remember what it was now, but it was funny. But yeah, that was a long one. I thought when Chris left, I was like, oh man, we're gonna have a reasonable, length podcast. That's good. And then
We yacked for a while.
yeah, I think it was like an hour and 50 minutes or something. But Chris left probably like after an hour.
Well, right now we are sitting at an hour and 45.
Yeah, so that's plenty. That's plenty.
Yeah.
And I talked a lot this time, so I think hopefully next time I'll talk.
You
little.
keep coming up with more fucking charts. Charts. You got a passion for stats, my friend.
Let's see who we have on next week. We'll I like to invite the long timers. So we'll see.
Let's see. Let's target somebody here. Let's play tag.
See if Chad will come on with us.
That would be fun.
Yeah, we already got Doug.
Yeah.
Chad.
So Doug was the first one, and then we didn't do one the first time. The two of us.
I was on with Phil.
You were on with Phil.
I was concerned about his move, so I wanted to.
Yeah.
To be too close to the move.
So Phil was what first, and then it was Doug, or was Doug first, and then it was Phil?
Phil, then Doug, then Chris, and then today Mike.
Okay.
So yeah, who's the long timer? Chad. Chad will be. I'll ask Chad, and if he can't do it, Sean's been in the league a long time. Basically, anybody who wants to do it.
Yeah, we're not picky. It'd be awesome is to get Steiger to do one of these days. We'll have to do
I got it. I got to get in touch with him and Norm and see what we can work out as far as times. So with Steiger would be like early in the day, right? We'd have to do it more like afternoon. So maybe if he's free like Memorial Day, if you want to use your Memorial Day to do that, but we could do that. I know we had Norm on last Memorial Day. It was Norm. Norm seems like it would work out okay. It would just be a little later for us.
Right. We might be able to do Norm on like 4th of July unless you got shit going on then.
Yeah, I'm not. What day of the week is 4th of July this year?
Oh, I think it's a Tuesday or Wednesday. Actually, let me find out. I'll look on my phone. More than one way to skin a cat.
But yeah, we'll try to get both those guys in. Did Steiger do it with you?
It's on a Thursday.
Thursday. What
does
that mean? That's weird. What are we gonna do?
It means a lot of people are gonna have Friday off.
Yeah. But it doesn't help us on a Monday, so I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's what's nice about Memorial Day. It's always Monday. Labor Day.
Oh, I know that. Labor Day. Yeah. Thanksgiving's always on Thursday.
Last year we were all done with podcasts before Labor Day. I think the last one was the last Monday in August. And then we were done. That was because I was like, Monday Night Football, man. I don't want to. I want to watch.
Yeah, well, that's I run a football league, and yeah, it's kind of important. So it makes sense. I was kind of like one thing I kind of regret is not having like maybe just one more before the end of like the around the World Series, and we just didn't.
Yeah, we always thought we would have like a group one,
like a season recap.
Yeah, that was it. We just left it.
Yeah, we just left it alone.
Yeah, maybe we'll try that. I was looking at it like an off day during the playoffs, and there was one. October 20th in that area, but I don't think. I think you had maybe family in town or something, or
you might be right.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Either that or I was out visiting family. because I know I took like a little bit of a vacation in September. But no, it might have been because my niece got married at the end of October.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Well, that's what it was. Oh, anywho, all right. Well,
All right, Jeff.
another one in the books.
All right, not too bad. At least it's not over 2 hours. That's good.
No, 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 no. No, not yet. If you want to stay on for 10 more minutes, it will be.
All right. Well, good luck this week.
Thanks,
Hope
man. Hope
may
to
you
get
may
off to
you
a good
may you
start.
continue to move the needle, Jeff.
Hey, I need just a couple of really good weeks where I just get 6-0s in like 2 weeks in a row. And I think that would help.
You just need some better pitching.
Dude, Blake Snell he fucked me. The guy fucked me. Fucked me hard. Yeah, Blake Snell, he's coming back pretty soon. We'll see what happens with him. The other thing too is like when Chris offers you Jackson Churio for Justin Steele, if I had to do it all over again, I'd keep Justin Steele.
He did get hurt right after that, but
He did, but I mean, Steele's he was so good. So good for me.
so Steele was a
Yeah.
steal.
He was a bargain of a steal. So, all right, buddy. Well, I
All right.
will talk to you later, and I will see you next week. And good luck negotiating with Chad on his price to be on.
Okay. And I'll see you in approximately 166 hours.
Rock and roll.
All right. 168 minus 2.
I never even thought of it, but yeah.
All right.
Okay, cool. See you later.
Oh, I wanted to say one thing.
Okay.
Last week I said that the average walk percentage was 14%. You know, the average strikeout percentage is 23% of plate appearances. But walks, it's 9%. I must have been thinking what the K minus BB percentage was. It's so 14% walk rate. No, that's not right. That's inaccurate. And I was wrong. I retract my statement.
So there you have it, folks out there in beer league land.
That made it all the way to
Lou has just repented for
the
making
110-minute mark.
I think you're just a little extra sensitive right now to stats and stuff.
Yeah, well, I screwed up the Friday ticker, man. Come on. The hell's that?
Yeah. You got a family, you got things to do, you know?
What, I can't sort by alphabetically by team name? Come on. It's basic stuff.
Yeah. No big deal. Anywho, I actually made out on it, so I love it. Anyway, see you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.